Hello, I am Dr. Candice Turner here with Dr. Dawn Turner at our Women Leaders Convention, where we are going to be having just a quick conversation about her role at Lander University and how she is owning it in the D2 space. Ready to get started?
Ready to get started.
All right. So most of your career you spent at the D1 level, and now we have transitioned to Lander University, where this is your third year?
Starting my fourth.
Starting your fourth year. So tell us a little bit about that transition and kind of how you're enjoying your role now.
You know, it was, I started out in Division II of my alma mater, Francis Marion in South Carolina. Go Patriots. And my first Division I job was 7 years after that. I started out as an athletic secretary, which back in the 80s is what they called them, administrative assistant now. And so, yeah, I did spend probably 32 of my years at Division I, either at the conference level, NCAA level, national office level, or on campus. And then had a little brief break in my career. And then I really kind of started over and ended back up at East Tennessee State University was my last Division I stop. And the athletic director at Lander is a good friend of mine. And I was ready for a little bit of a change of pace. With my personal life and with just life in general. And so, reached out to him. They had a deputy AD position open and said, hey, I'm interested, but I know it's already been posted for quite a while, so the job's probably not available anymore. It was. And about 6 weeks later, I was living in Greenwood, South Carolina.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, that's a quick way to own a new path in life. So that's amazing.
Yes, it is.
So thinking about the deputy athletics role, how do you approach nimbleness, right, in this kind of changing landscape? And Division II has always had a unique way of being kind of life in a balance. Mm-hmm. But how do you approach that agility in your current role and just in this current landscape?
Yeah, the landscape for us is a little different than it is Division I, obviously, but we're not getting left behind. We're just doing things a different way. I'm the compliance administrator at my institution as well. We have about 820 athletes.
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
That's
so
okay.
Quite a lot of student athletes. So being nimble is really, really important. I find myself kind of moving from one thing to the other. People ask what my job's like every day, and I said it's not the same thing ever. Mm-hmm. I don't make lists. I have to-do lists that I check things off so nicely and pretty. I just kind of roll with what comes in my office. You know, I may be in the middle of helping our certifying officer put rosters together, and then a student athlete comes in crying. You got to drop everything and talk to that student athlete. Yes. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that's really important to serve the student athletes in the way they need to be served. Mm-hmm. So you can't I have to get this done right now. If your student athlete standing at your door needs help, or a coach, or another administrator, or just somebody from the campus community may need something from us.
100%.
And a lot of times I'm trying to be the wall in front of our athletic director, so it doesn't all go to his office. So I'm trying to be that person that they can come to.
Thinking about, in your current role, you have to kind of obviously maintain this ability for all of the change that happens, but how do you also maintain some consistency within your department and leveraging all of those things while still, supporting your athletics doing?
He's very much open door, so he wants student athletes and the coaches to come in to see him. What myself and our senior associate AD, we don't have a huge staff. We only have 10 senior administrators. And so myself and our senior associate AD, who just transitioned into administration this year, he was our head athletic trainer for many, many years. And he's taken over a few of the things that were on my plate, postseason competition, hosting championships, that kind of thing. But I think we try to kind of hit those things that we have gaps in. So we realize that we've got some gaps in academic support. Do we need to hire a part-time person or a full-time person to help with that? Mm-hmm. Are we taking care of our student athletes when it comes to the academic side, and making sure we know ahead of time if they're going to be ineligible so we can get them in summer school?
That's right.
We don't pay for summer school, unfortunately, so that's going to be on them. But trying to make sure that we're doing things that we can support them, but also maintaining the things that we have to do on a day-to-day basis.
And I mean,
wow.
850 student athletes, I think you probably have quite a bit to do there. So obviously you mentioned that you don't pay for summer school. And then you have to figure out if you're going to hire a full-time person or a part-time person. So explain to me kind of your position on strategic thinking, kind of planning with limited resources. Yeah.
Definitely limited.
Mhm.
You know, we have club sports under us as well.
Oh, okay.
So that's part of the 800 and something student athletes that we have. But we treat them just like the student athletes. They got to meet the eligibility requirements. They've got to do all the things that the varsity athletes have to do. We have an emerging sport in women's rugby. We've got club sports all over. They're all over the place. And so I think with our athletic director, the way he looks at things is to try to figure out what is he talks about taking a small bite of the cheese.
Okay.
Instead of a whack it,
Okay.
whacking the cheese. So he wants to take a small bite and look at it and see what we can do. What's the next step for us? I don't think we're going to add any more sports. If I may be working somewhere else if we do. But I think he looks at it as he doesn't sit down and do a strategic plan, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But I think he's looking ahead.
Okay.
Which is something I'm trying to learn from him, as I would like to be an AD myself at some point, even though I'm aging out a little. But I think he really tries to look at things in small bites, mm-hmm. and says, okay, what do we need to do just to get to this next step? Mm-hmm. And then when we get to that next step, we're looking back to see, okay, what have we missed?
That's right.
And then let's move to the next step and see if we can figure out can we take this and go one step further? Do we need to stay where we are? What do we need to do? Do we need to have programming for our student athletes? Are we developing them the way they're supposed to be developed while they're with us? And now we have the 5 and 5.
Yeah.
So now we're thinking, okay, so we might have them for 5 years now.
Right.
So we really want to make sure we're supporting them and provide them with the experience that they deserve because they chose to come to Lander.
I love that. So now kind of shifting, obviously, like making sure that you kind of scaffold these things around the student athlete. Mm-hmm. Sounds like that's the core. But we also know we work in higher education. There's multiple constituent groups that we have to work collaboratively with, take their feedback. Mm-hmm. So how do you manage working with constituents outside of Lander, as well as kind of your campus partners? How do you all manage all of those things with so many student athletes?
It's herding cats a little bit. We have really good relationships with our campus offices. I don't deal so much with anybody outside the university. I would say probably our development, our external folks do that more. But I try, and our athletic director is very, very involved. He speaks specifically with the deans of the colleges.
Oh, wonderful.
And the chairs of the departments at least once a year to make, hey, we're here. We want to make sure that things are going the way they're supposed to be. Let us know if you have any issues. Our faculty athletics representative, Dr. David Zinn, very involved in the Faculty Athletics Representatives Association. And also, he's really involved in making sure our student athletes with class absence, things like that. And I feel like the biggest thing that I can do is be a support in that part of it, because I'm still learning the Lander way. Okay. But I have done as much as I possibly can to make sure that our relationships with admissions, financial aid, registrar's office, our certifying officer's been at Lander since 1973.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Shout out, Susan. Okay. Shout out.
There you go.
And so she really knows the insides and outsides of all degree programs. Okay. And so when a student athlete needs to do something like change a major or trying to figure out why they're not progressing, we put them with her, and she can put them with the right people. So we're kind of a puzzle that's always moving.
I love that.
That's like the Survivor slider puzzle.
Yeah.
We're always moving.
I got it. That's a great analogy, actually. So now you shared with us that you had some background working at the national office, some D2 schools early in your career, a long stint with Division I. Now we're back at Division II. You have desires to become an AD.
Yes.
So explain to us, how do you stay an expert in the field?
Well, part of me is like, this is year 37.
Okay.
I had to do the math. I'm not good at math. And I've tried to make sure that the things I've done have been intentional. Okay. As I told you, I had a little bit of a blip in my career where I was not working for about 4 months. Mm-hmm. And I started over, essentially. That was 10 years ago. I started over at an entry-level job that was paying me less than $25,000 a year.
Oh, wow.
And I just kind of took a full stop, pumped the brakes, and started it completely over. Mm. What can I do this time around that's different than the way I did it last time?
Gotcha.
And so every move that I've made, I started out at UNC Asheville. and then I stayed there for 3 years. That was supposed to be a 1-year position.
Okay.
Went to the Citadel. But when I left UNC Asheville as an assistant director of compliance, I went to the Citadel as assistant AD for compliance.
Okay.
And then I left the Citadel after 2 years and went to Gardner-Webb as an associate AD for compliance. And then ETSU was senior associate AD. And now I feel like I've taken another step up. Some people might not see it that way because it's Division II from Division I.
Oh.
Same work.
Right.
Same title.
Everything is scalable.
So everything was, yes, exactly. And everything I did was with purpose.
Yeah.
So I didn't take a job. People may see it as me jumping around, but I look at it as me taking a step up every single time.
That's right.
And a step up in responsibilities every single time.
Now, we're at Women Leaders Convention, right? We know that all of the things that we do here is to uplift women. We lift as we rise. But to me, it sounds like you're owning it. You've owned it. Yeah, you owned every part of your career, and you have a vision for it, which is applaudable. So what would you share with a young lady that's just starting her career? How does she own it?
You know, I'll tell you, I've had conversations with some of our student athletes. I have a student athlete on our women's rugby team. Shout out Carmen. Who said, I asked her one day, I said, what do you want to do when you graduate? She goes, oh, I want to be you.
Oh, I love that.
And so she's like my little, she idolizes me, my protege.
Yeah.
She idolizes me is what she says. And I said, oh, good grief. That's a lot of pressure. But what I've tried to tell the young ladies that come in and the young men, don't go out of your bachelor's degree or your master's degree. We have a lot of student athletes who get their master's before they leave Lander. And I've tried to tell them, like, don't go out and assume that because you have a bachelor's or master's degree that somebody's going to throw you a check for $100,000. It's not going to happen.
Correct.
If you really want to stay in athletic administration or facilities or whatever you want to do in athletics, take those jobs that maybe don't pay all the money, but give you all kinds of hours and experience. Take the internships, take the graduate assistantships, take the volunteer position.
That's right.
While you're still at Lander, go volunteer at a high school or go volunteer somewhere else. We have 5 or 6 schools within 30 minutes of us that they can volunteer. I just try to get them to understand that nothing's going to be given to you in athletics. It's just like any other job, corporate or non-corporate. Nothing's going to be given to you. And so you really have to go out there and earn it. And when you get to that position that you really, really want, those people that are interviewing you are going to look back at your resume and go, this person has done all the things to put themselves with a good foundation for the position that we're hiring right now.
I love that. And it's really all about relationships. Like, so when you're doing all of these things, you're meeting people and you're building those relationships because their hard work will get you so far, but people need to know you. I love that. Now, we're both sitting here with some earned doctorates.
Yes,
and I know that you are also an adjunct professor at Lander. I also adjunct professor. So share with us, how does that help your role at Lander, being also on the faculty side?
You know, our faculty athletics representative is the sport management chair, essentially. It's not a title. He came to me about a year and a half ago and said, would you be willing to teach an online course? And I went, my brain's going, ooh. But I said, of course, I would love to do that. Tell me all about it. And so I feel like in some cases, and you probably understand this, our student athletes will take my class thinking, Dr. T, that's what they call me. Dr. T is going to give us the easy A. No.
Not happening.
What I've learned through this class is that I need to talk to some English teachers at some of the high schools that our kids come from because the writing is really bad. But for me, being in that side of it, even though it's a small part, it makes me understand what the professors and the faculty, all the people that are on the academic side are going through every day. Because, you know, I get frustrated just like I'm sure they do with
100%. Yes.
Things like that. But I think it also gives me a little bit of a structure to my job that I can do better with trying to teach our student athletes, hey, when you're doing things in the classroom, you got to do them just as good as you're going to do them on the lacrosse field. Like, we want you to be really successful out there, but you got to be both. You can't take one and not be the other because you're not going to play lacrosse if you're not eligible to play lacrosse. So you got to do the classwork in order to be on the field.
So it gives you another perspective to kind of help you in your current role, like as the deputy athletics director. Completely get that. So I want to switch gears a little bit. So we know that you've sat on a lot of NCAA committees.
Yes, I have.
So share with us, and you currently sit on the softball committee, is that correct?
I'm currently on the D2 softball committee, and I am on the NCAA committee for access, opportunity, and impact, the new one.
Oh, so share with us a little bit of what that work looks like, and what is your position on the softball side about how we're going to go forward with rec? So our regional committees, like, explain that a little bit for us.
So I just started on the softball committee. This is my first year. It was a great amount of fun and a lot of work. I had been on 2 sport committees at Division I in volleyball and the men and women's tennis committee. And I will say that Division I, we were pampered a little bit as committee members. We did a little bit less data, on the ground work that in Division II, like, we're out there moving the balls, everything. Love the sport committees, love being on the sport committees, love being in Chattanooga for a week. But it was exhausting. Mm-hmm. Now the more governance side of the committee thing, the NCAA committee on access, opportunity, and impact. We're still learning it.
Yeah.
That one is a combination of the Committee on Women's Athletics, the MOIC, the Gender Equity Task Force, and there's one other one that I can't ever remember. Four committees merged together to make this one. And I was also on the ad hoc working group that decided to do it. So I was part of the group that decided to put this committee out as one big committee. I'm very interested to see what we do with this committee. It's a 25-person association-wide committee.
Oh, wow.
So it's an honor for me to be on it. They did want some continuity from some of the committees that were disbanded. And so myself and 2 other individuals are on there from the Committee on Women's Athletics.
Gotcha.
We have absorbed the emerging sport program in this committee. The Woman of the Year has moved to the honors committee. Oh, wow. With a lot of movement and shaking. So we've not done any actual, we've worked, but most of it has been housekeeping, like mission statement, policies and procedures.
So you all are laying the foundational block currently.
Correct. Yeah.
So what's to come? We shall see.
Exactly. I was just talking to Gretchen Mirren, who's one of our staff liaisons. She said it's going to be. She said it's going to be very interesting to see what this committee does because it's so broad based. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason we did it to start with was it was going to deal with diversity, equity, inclusion. Those are things now that we can't necessarily talk about in those terms. And so we're trying to determine how we're going to go forward and still make sure those things are priorities for us, as well as the women's sports opportunities, other things. Yeah.
So, the NCAA does the impact forum. So will there be some congruencies with this committee and maybe some of the efforts that they have in that space?
Yeah.
And try to work collaboratively together?
They actually, at our meeting, we had our meeting in September for the first meeting of the committee in person in Indianapolis. And they actually provided us with free, to be able to go free to the impact forum. Nice. We just had to get there. They will pay for everything else. I'm not able to go because of conflicts on campus. But our committee can go and be part of that impact forum. Oh, that's going to be amazing. Which would be great. I think a lot of people from the committee will go. And I wish I could. And I'm hoping they offer it again next year. But I think it's really important for the people who may not have been involved in some of the other committees who are on this committee maybe on the first time to go to that forum and see what kind of impact they could make as part of this committee. Oh, I think that's going to be so great. Yeah, I think so. So, again, obviously we're sitting here at Women Leaders in Sports. So there is a lot of cross-sectionality of how intercollegiate athletics works with professional sports or interscholastic sports, or how do we kind of move through this channel of this changing landscape in sports? Where do you see us going in the next 5-10 years? I know that's a loaded question. It is. My focus right now is we're trying to, the 5-and-5 is all we're talking about. And our coaches are all over it, as you can imagine. I'm sure yours are too. Yes. The Q&A came out, and it was like the golden ticket to Willy Wonka. Oh, everybody waiting on it. My coaches ran in my office to get a copy. I was like, you guys are tripping me out. I've never had anything that's been this kind of magnetizing for our coaches. And for them to come in and actually read the document and then actually come back and ask me a question about it was amazing. I think that's going to be a huge, whether or not we approve it in January. Right. What I'm hearing is the ADs and the commissioners are 50-50. So the interesting thing will be if we don't get that,
That's right.
how is that going to impact our division? Because we didn't get the junior college
I know.
exception like Division I did. And if they don't pass it this in January, I'm like, where are we going then?
That's right.
So what are we doing? Because I know they did this, 18-month eligibility review. And I'm interested to see what the division's going to do, because I think we're still redefining ourselves a
That's
little
right.
bit.
That's right.
And I was in the D2 think tank, not this past fall, but the fall before, and we talked about a lot of things there, but I don't know where we went with the final information that we dealt with. So I'm interested to see what Division II does with
January is going to be
itself.
an interesting convention for
Yeah,
us.
I think so too.
I'm definitely excited for it,
Yeah,
to see where we land on some things.
I hope Division II doesn't change that much.
Right.
Because I think they're, the life and the balance, whether that's the tagline we use, but I still think that Division II is a powerful division in its own right.
That's
We're
right.
not Division I, praise be.
Mm-hmm.
We're not dealing with NIL, but in small doses.
That's right.
But I still think we're a powerful division, whether it's academics. We obviously do very well.
Mm-hmm.
We obviously do very well on the field and on the court. There's not a lot of difference in us and Division I except money.
That's right.
And we've proven that we can do well without all that extra stuff going on. And so I'm interested to see what the division does as a whole going forward.
We maintain the essence.
Exactly.
The essence
Great
of why
word.
we do what we do.
Great.
So as we kind of round out this interview, I want you to think about, what is that one nugget that you would like everyone to know about whatever it may be. So it could be your budding professional. It could be a student athlete. What does Dr. Dawn Turner want to say of how she owns it in this intercollegiate space?
That is a
loaded question.
Well, I think the thing that I would say for me personally, and I led a leadership conference for about 10 years for the Big South Conference. And I always told our student athletes, go out and take your light into the world. And so my kind of a quote that I've always used, not one that anybody said, but one I thought myself is, when I'm gone, will I have impacted anybody in any way? And so my personal goal, because I don't plan on retiring for another 10 years or so, is that when I do retire and I'm no longer involved, that the things that I've done in my career are still there, still viable, still, they're still doing the leadership conference at the Big South even 10 years later. That's my legacy. I want to know that I've impacted student athletes for the better.
I love it.
Kind of from Wicked, for good. Because I knew, I've been changed for good.
I love that. I love that. Well, Dr. Turner, you are definitely a light. And
as are you, Dr. Turner.
Oh, thank you so much. And it has been such an honor sitting here chatting with you today.
Same to you.
Again, reporting live from Women Leaders in Sports, where we are owning it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.